it's Trina, and this is my August reading wrap-up. All the books I read this month were in that intro there, and there are links and timestamps down below in case you want more information on any of the books I talk about today, or if you want to jump straight to one of the reviews. Before I get into the books, like normal, I want to do kind of some announcements. I've mentioned on Twitter and in my last video in the comments there that I actually had to go through an emergency surgery this month, which was quite unexpected. I still have several weeks in front of me of physical recovery, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the well wishes that were sent my way on Twitter or in the comments of that last video. It has meant the world to me that I do have such a big support system. And mentioning that last video, I hit 10,000 subscribers this month in August, so that was a huge milestone. It's incredible that we got here together. So again, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has hit subscribe. Thank you for watching the videos that I make about books and for valuing my opinions and my reviews. A couple of other things happened this month. One of those is that I was sent the traveling coloring book that was started by Gwen over at Lavender Mud. She wanted to send an adult coloring book around and have booktubers color a different page in it. And I have not gotten very far on my page, but I am coloring this kind of beach sunset page because I want to be here in this scene on a beach. I'll put links to the original announcement video for this coloring book down in the description, and if you guys want to get involved, definitely contact Gwen. Also in August, I got to meet one of my very best booktube friends in real life for the first time, my friend Sarah at the channel Sarah Ella. We did film several videos together, so we have some more fun collabs that are going to be going up on our channels this month, as well as I got to sit down with Sarah Ella and interview her about her book and her writing process. So that'll be up on my channel later this month, so you can keep an eye out for those. I'll put a link to her book, to her channel, and everything down in the description. Lastly, I want to just really quickly say that 13 people did my new to booktube tag this month. I'm not going to read out every single name, but I do tweet those links on Twitter. I'll just put a link to that general thread where I left links to all the new booktubers that did my tag this month in case you are interested in finding brand new booktubers and supporting their channels. On to the books. Like always, here is my TBR check-in for the month. This month I was hoping to read 4 specific books, and I read 2 of those books. So I did not even touch The Good Girls by Sarah Shepard yet, but this is going to be a repeat of my TBR for September. And I got about 300 pages into Lady Midnight. My reading just wasn't the fastest this month, all things considered, so I did get partway through it. Hope to be finishing this one soon. I did read a total of 7 things this month, and all of my ratings were 3.5 stars or above. At 3.5 stars is Sex Criminals Volume 3, written by Matt Fraction and illustrated by Zdarsky. This is a very adult humor sex comedy comic series, and it's about 2 people that are in a relationship, and they discover that when they have sex, they have this superpower where they can actually freeze time. I really enjoy the style of narration. A lot of the narration is very meta. Sometimes the authors of the series actually just like stop in the middle of a scene and just have these post-it note conversations with each other. And I also really enjoy the statements that this series makes on just like social behavior, on the dating scene, on relationships, on feminism, on body positivity and sex positivity. However, it is very adult content. It's rated mature. Maybe this one is a little bit more graphic than what I look for in a comic series. The good thing I will say about the sex scenes is I never feel like either gender is ever being just purely objectified. Another thing I definitely don't want to forget to say is that Volume 3 does introduce an asexual character to this series, which was really fascinating considering that this is a series about sex superpowers. You think, how would an asexual person fit into that? But she does, and it's really awesome. This month I rated several books 4 stars, so these next few books aren't going to be ranked in order of enjoyment. I'm just going to talk about them in the order that I read them. So first of all, I also read SAGA Volume 6 by Brian K. Vaughan, illustrated by Fiona Staples. This is an adult comic series that is science fiction fantasy. It's largely set in space, and it is about 2 people that are from different sides of this big intergalactic war that is going on, and they have basically gone rogue, fallen in love, gotten married, and had a baby together. So they're just trying to find safety and hide their daughter and hide the fact that she is a hybrid. Volume 6 did introduce an intersex character, which was really cool representation. Again, which I've been saying about this series since Volume 1, I do feel like sometimes there is overly gratuitous nudity, and the way in which it's shown to the reader feels kind of voyeuristic to me, but I know people really love this series for pushing those boundaries. Next, I read the play Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany. It is a continuation of what happens to Harry Potter after the epilogue from Deathly Hallows. This story does largely follow Harry Potter's child Albus Severus, but it also follows Harry Potter a lot more than I expected it to. So you do see Harry, Ron, and Hermione again, as well as a lot of characters from the original series. I know that this play has really split people. Some people either really love it or really hate it, and I have done a full book review on it if you want to know more of my thoughts, but I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. There were some cheesy moments in this play, but overall, as a person that's worked on several plays in a theater class in high school, I really enjoyed reading this script, and I would love to see it in person. I don't have big problems with it. You know, it's not perfect, but it didn't irritate me, so that's all I can really say about it. Next, I listened to Inheritance by Christopher Paolini on audiobook. This is the 4th and final book in the Inheritance cycle series, the first book being Aragon, and this series is a YA series about a young boy that has been chosen to be the next great dragon rider in this fantasy world where an evil overlord has basically taken over everything. It's a really great epic quest adventure type story. There are several really strong female characters, and this is a very typical medieval type fantasy where men are empowered. But this series definitely still has those strong female characters that come into their own power in this series that I think would give Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones a run for her money. The dragons are fantastic. They are their own characters. You get scenes and points of views from the dragons, and the way that they narrate is just it's delightful. I love the main dragon, Saphira. She is the best. She is one of my favorite characters that I've read this entire year. I love the magic system in this world. It's very based on language and energy. I thought that the overall climax in the end of this book was well done. It kind of took a turn that I haven't seen before, so it was very interesting to me. Next, I read Highly Illogical Behavior by John Corey Whaley. This is a YA novel about a young boy that has agoraphobia, which is a type of anxiety disorder that causes you fear of anything you can't control to the extent of people not leaving their home or very rarely leaving their home. He hasn't left his home in several years, but one of his former classmates remembers him and finds him, and she decides, because she wants to go to college to study psychology, she wants to reconnect with this kid and help fix him so that she can write a great essay to land her dream school. And I hear a lot of people read this book and say they hated this character. It's a problem that she's trying to fix him, that she thinks he needs to be fixed. But I think that this problem is addressed by the book, and that's kind of the point of the story. The main character is also gay, and John Corey Whaley is gay, and he does have anxiety. So this is an own voices story in both aspects, and I myself really enjoyed the look into this type of anxiety. I do not have agoraphobia, but there have been many times that I have anxiety about leaving the house or going new places. It's not a diagnosis of having agoraphobia. However, I just am saying that I found a lot of this really relatable. It wasn't anything mind-blowing. I do feel like the plot could have been a little bit stronger, but that's really the only thing that took away a star for me. Next, I read Summer Days and Summer Nights, which is a collection of 12 romantic short stories edited by Stephanie Perkins. Since this book includes 12 different stories, I can't just give you an overall summary, but what I have done is I've written out an entire full review and a summary and a rating of every single one of the stories over on Goodreads. So I'll put a link down below directly to my Goodreads review in case you want to check that out. There are a lot of contemporary stories, but there's also a horror story. There are also some paranormal stories and science fiction stories, so I did enjoy that mix to it. And out of the 12, my least favorite story was called Sick Pleasure by Francesca Leah Block. The main character confused date rape with losing her virginity. As somebody pointed out to me on Goodreads, yeah, there are religious groups that believe that having been raped does mean that you've lost your virginity, and I understand that. I know that that's the case. However, this story didn't have anything to do with religion. This was just a plain confusion of rape and sex. One is consensual, one is not. I feel like stories like this kind of perpetuate rape culture, making people think it's okay to rape her because it's just sex. Now, the favorite stories in this book, surprisingly, I really loved the one by Veronica Roth. It's called Inertia. It was a science fiction story. I also really enjoyed Lev Grossman's story called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. It was a science fiction story about a day that kept repeating because time had stopped. My favorite story overall in this book was the one by Jennifer E. Smith. It was called 1,000 Ways This Could All Go Wrong. Jennifer E. Smith's story was one of the more romantic ones, and it actually included a couple of characters with autism that one of them was seen as the love interest, which I think is so important for representation. Many of the stories in this book have a lot of diversity. There are a couple of gay and lesbian romances in here, there are several people of color, and like I said, there are the characters with autism in that last story, and there were several discussions about mental health and how medication affects dealing with mental health. I almost DNF'd it, but then I got to that second half and I really loved every story from there on out. And lastly, my favorite read of the month was The Girl Who Fell by S.M. Parker. This is a 2016 debut novel. Our main character falls for the new boy, and it turns out that he's quite manipulative, and this kind of progresses into a very toxic relationship. I gave it 5 stars because I really appreciated the exploration of an abusive relationship. It does take a while for these characters to get together. It takes a while for it to become clear that this is a toxic relationship, even though you know that going in. So a lot of times when I know things about a book going in and then the book kind of takes a while to get there, I get bored. But the entire time I was just really gripped by this writing. I appreciated that it showed the buildup of their relationship and that there aren't necessarily going to be warning signs with every abuser. That she was legitimately attracted to him. He was legitimately sweet at first. The only criticisms that I really have of this book are that things at points kind of played out almost too clearly abusively. This could be a very real situation for real people, so I'm not discrediting this, but at the same time, I also feel like there is a need for books to be a bit more subtle about what manipulation is and what abuse is. You don't have to be being hit to be in an abusive relationship, for a relationship to be very toxic for you. And I want readers, and young women especially, and young men too, I want people to know that. It hit home for me in a lot of ways because I have been in a manipulative relationship before, although it didn't really reflect the same relationship that was in this book. So it wasn't a pleasant read, but it was an important read, and I'm really glad that this book exists. So that's everything that I read in the month of August. If you have any questions on any of these books that I didn't cover in those reviews, don't hesitate to ask me down below. And I would love to hear from you guys. What was your favorite read of August? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!